COVID-19 is still resurgent. Meanwhile, many countries have begun developing the vaccine and treatments. Some countries have already started vaccinating since the development of the vaccine has been recently completed. The COVID-19 vaccines that Korea has decided to introduce are Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Moderna, etc. Of those, AstraZeneca is the only vaccine that the government has signed the pre-purchase contract. How do you get permission to sell a new vaccine? Safety of the COVID-19 vaccine. Countries around the world review the safety of vaccines by establishing an institution that manages medicines. Food and Drug Administration is a U.S. Department of Health and Welfare agency that controls and manages everything made and distributed in the U.S. The process of getting approval from the FDA to sell a new drug takes up more than a year. The drug should go through a clinical trial in 3 phases. In the first phase, the ready drug is tested on animals before using it on humans. The first phase of clinical trials targets 20 to 80 volunteers. The second phase targets about 200 patients to identify the safety and usage of drugs. And the third phase targets thousands of people. Last July, the Pfizer vaccine of the U.S. received the Fast Track approval by the FDA. Fast Track is a process that expedites the test of a vaccine when needed urgently. The FDA thought Pfizer had a high percentage of being successful. Due to only a few minor side effects, such as headaches and muscle pain, were found during the clinical trials, it got the Fast Track approval. Moderna later revived the Fast Track approval as well and will soon be available. It has been reported that both Pfizer and Moderna show over a 90% success rate. Vaccines to be introduced in Korea. If there is the FDA in the US, there is the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in Korea. Korea signed a contract with the UK-based AstraZeneca. Luckily, in the early clinical trials and animal testing, only few side effects were found. The effectiveness of the drug is an average of 70% and up to 90%. The FDA's approval, however, is being delayed due to the recent discovery of problems. For example, the different dosages of the drug had different effects in the third phase clinical trial. The decision of the approval is expected to be made after the second half of next year. The British Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency is also reviewing the approval of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Regardless of the FDA, however, Korea is considering to use the vaccine after being reviewed by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety of Korea according to the domestic procedures. The Korean government announced that it would bring the vaccine in early February or March of next year and start vaccinating. However, some experts point out the importance of taking careful consideration of the safety of the vaccine. Question: the vaccines that Korea has signed the contract for are Pfizer and AstraZeneca. OX. Answer X. Explanation: AstraZeneca is the only vaccine that Korea has signed the contract with.